So good afternoon or good evening if you're listening in the USA, and if you're in the Pacific Rim or overseas, it's Wonderful Wednesday for you. I am the guy in the blue shirt. Yeah, we're going to get to Mark in a minute, or Makeda, and also some people call me Mr. Simpler, Faster, Better, and of course I'm Bruce Carnahan. Wanted to give a shout out to 𝗟𝘂. I'm a very proud brand ambassador to 𝗟𝘂. And if you want to learn how to use 𝗟𝘂 to empower your frontline team, you can either message me or you can just go to 𝗟𝘂score.com. So Makeda, Mac, so honored to have you. We've had so much fun on calls before. So tell people a little bit about where you're at and what you're up to over there.
What I'm up to? Well, yeah. Just have been totally enjoying all your content on LinkedIn. Gotta tell you, you've always got like the best stuff on how to do things simpler and better. Oh, we've got some people. I can't say names though. Hello.
Yeah, I think it's going to get busy. You know, we were talking about that Starbucks table. I think it's going to be like a Star or a Panera Bread merry-go-round with people hopping on, right? Well, you're very popular. You're a very popular young lady. All right. So where are you based, first of all?
Yeah. So, well, right now I'm based temporarily in Florida, but originally I'm from Toronto. So that's my hometown, based in Toronto. And you were asking like what I do, correct? I think that's
so we'll go over a little bit. Yeah, give us a little top level summary of what you do, and then we'll get into, you know, the relaunching and the redesigning and re-engineering of your programs, and I know that's something you're real passionate about. So we'll just go as the flow of the conversation takes us. So
awesome, let's do that.
Yeah, all right.
So yeah, I am a leadership and team building coach, but actually specifically for first-time team managers. So I help first-time team managers just like transition into their role from individual contributor to leader of the team, because that is just such a really difficult transition, as you and I have talked about on numerous times.
We have, like a broken record. But, so I have a new story to share with you about that. So don't let me forget. Okay.
So, yeah, we have to cycle back to that one.
Sure.
But yeah, I help them basically make that transition and as well, like build the confidence and the specific skills that are necessary to be an effective team leader, because it's not enough to have like management skills. You also have to have leadership skills, because you're dealing with people, and far too many people just don't have those skill sets because they're coming in from being like the expert on the team. And so I really help them make that transition and as well build those specific skills that they need to in order to like motivate and push their team forward.
Right. Yep. So in my old world, it would be the SME, right? The subject matter expert. So if you're in England and you hear SME, that's a small manufacturing enterprise, and it's like totally same acronym, totally different meaning. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of LinkedIn users showing up. I'm not sure why people's names aren't showing up. That's very strange, but StreamYard and LinkedIn have been super funky in the last couple of shows. So maybe it's a setting, I don't know, but they keep updating and improving, you know, and sometimes improvement, you actually go backwards before you go forward. So
of course,
well-known symptom of making big improvements is as you go back to go forward, right?
Yeah, exactly. You would know that better than anyone.
I do. And it's funny because even though my acronym is simpler, faster, better, what people don't realize is sometimes you often have to slow down to end up going quicker. So faster and better can be, you know, beautiful to work with, but sometimes they can be opposing forces. So, you know, but hey, you know, that's why if you work with somebody with the experience that I have, then I've usually figured out how to master those opposing forces in pretty much most situations in the past 45 years. I counted it up. I've been doing this stuff for 45 years. It's amazing.
45 years. That is Yeah, that's a long time. You know what you're talking about.
Well, as a subject matter expert for 45 years, but not always been just a subject matter expert, often done different management, leadership, mentoring, coaching, all of those things I've done in between as well. So, all right. So I know that's a core passion of yours. So tell us a little bit about what's created the relaunch. And I know you've upgraded your core program. So talk about those couple of things, because I know you're not very excited about that stuff at all, right?
What are you even talking about? I am so excited. Yeah, I kind of rejigged my core program. So I started off in my business coaching first-time managers just like one-on-one, which was great. Loved having the opportunity. Hi. Okay, I'm seeing names come in, so I'm.
Yeah, well, they're talking to each other, which is awesome. But on our side, so everybody, just so you know, I didn't mean to stop you in your flow, Mac, but we can't tell who you are because it just shows us LinkedIn user, which is really strange. So talk amongst yourselves, and and then hopefully when we go back and make comments, we'll actually be able to tell the name of the person that's in the feed. Who knows?
Yeah. And if you want, like when you're leaving us like a comment or whatnot, just put your name, like say what you have to say and then put your name so that we can reference you and say hello, make this more of a, personal chat.
Sure. Yeah, it's bizarre. I have never seen this LinkedIn user thing before. It's really weird. Oh, well.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, girl.
Yeah. Oh, of course. That's your bestie had to be.
Yeah, that's our bestie. She's the one that introduced us. So
she is a bestie to a lot of people. So I love her for her interconnectivity. She's amazing.
She is pretty awesome.
All right, so go back to passion. So yeah, one-on-one coaching, and then
we're doing one-on-one. And what I found with that is that I loved working with people one-on-one, but the problem with that, as you know, when you're working with one person, is it's like so time consuming. And that's not like, I'm not saying that in a bad way, but you can only help one person for a short, a certain period of time. Right. And for me, just with my personality style, like I'm a high empath. And so I tend to like really take on and hold on to people's stuff. So if I'm working with you for 3 months, like I'm in it with you. Right. And it's draining as much as I enjoy it. It's just a lot on me, emotionally speaking. And so I, took a look at like the one-on-one that I was doing and realized that there was a lot of similarities that people were going through. And so I decided to just rejig what I was doing with people on a one-on-one basis and turn it into something that is more group-based. So I can help more people with the same sort of like core framework over the same amount of time. But instead of like pouring into just one person, it's like a group. So now my program, the New Manager Accelerator program, is now a group coaching program rather than just a one-on-one coaching program.
Well, it's interesting because you talked about the energy and the amount of steps, and I know you're in it to win it along with your people that you help so much. And yes, I completely empathize because I'm in it to win it when I'm coaching people, whether it's one-on-one or smaller groups. And as a behavioral introvert, it can be totally energy zapping as well. So I find that it's not only the concentration of making sure you can be the best guider and leader and mentor for people to learn, what I do, which is teaching everything to be simpler, faster, better. It can be pretty draining. So, it's all about how do you remove those process steps, time and money to still get the same result, or steps, time and resources. So it's really interesting that you've kind of taken on board that whole thinking in a completely different way, but it's going to be more workable for you, and it's going to be more workable for the people that you help, right?
Exactly. It's far more impactful this way. And even just doing it in a group setting is better because, iron sharpens iron. And so if we're able to all sit together and talk about the issues that we're having and then run practice drills, and if they're able to network with each other, it just boosts them even more than if they were working with just me. So I think that this like revamp is really going to make such a difference for people, which is why I am so excited about it.
No, really? I thought that was just you having an update, you know?
I'm so excited. I've been like literally counting down the days because the official launch is next week. And I'm just, yeah, I'm really excited to be able to share this with as many people as possible. Because the other thing it does is it allows more people to even have the opportunity, right? Because again, when you're doing one-on-one, you only have certain amount of slots. So you have to turn away people sometimes and say, hey, like I'm booked up for the next 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever the case might be. But now I can take that much more people into the program and I don't have to turn them away. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So the beautiful thing about being a subject matter expert is people want to learn from you. Right. The not so good thing about being a subject matter expert is you have finite capacity, right? You don't have infinite capacity. So it's a really tough balance. And oh, that's interesting. Gracie Ruth Melendez, her name is showing up, but I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe the other people, I don't know if they're commenting through a different platform or I don't know what's happening, but I need to figure this out. Of course, it's going to drive me crazy because I'm
it's going to keep cycling back to this.
Be like, I used to know this process, and now the process has changed, and and it drives me insane. But
I feel like Asya has the answer to this. So, 𝗟𝘂𝗃, if you know how we can get people's names on these comments, please let us know. Okay.
Well, Gracie Ruth has managed to figure it out somehow. But anyway, if not, I love your idea. People can just say, hey, this is Bill or whatever, and we will at least try and comment back to you when we go back to the hashtag replay afterwards to give you some feedback or answer any questions. So yeah, if you have questions and you're seeing this live, pop them in there. And in case you happen to show as LinkedIn users the title, put at least who the question's coming from. We'd love that. And we'll go from there. We'll try and adopt and adapt. How about that?
Yes, that's all we can do.
That's all we can do, right? So back to your, so the launch is next week. And what's your ideal quorum or group size for the session? Or is that something you're going to experiment with?
Yeah, I think that, well, I've beta tested having a group before, and it was really good having about 5 people. I could probably push to 8, but I think 5 is like a really good sweet spot, or 6 even, so that people can like pair up and become like accountability buddies throughout the entire program. So yeah, maybe 6, max 8. And it'll be a 3-month program, 3-month program.
Well, I don't know if this helps, but from my prior experiences inside of those 45 years, one of my sweet spots is leading and coaching and mentoring cross-functional teams. And I used to find that the sweet spot number was actually 5 to 8. So that was pretty good beta testing. Good way to discover for yourself as well. And it's funny because I used to find when people used to say to me, well, Bruce, can't you just like add, this guy or this lady? It's like, and I used to do it. And I used to think, you know what, Bruce, you should know better, because once you start adding that 9th and 10th person, and then when it creeps up to around the 10 to 12 mark, it's like, you can't really get the best leverage, particularly cross-functionally, out of the team. And again, it's back to the energy drain. They used to like just tear me up and wear me out, and I would get less and less effective instead of being more and more effective as a leader for them. So it became, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. So it ended up being neutral, and then it would end up being lose, which is obviously not where you want to be. I mean, the real upbeat of a cross-functional team, particularly when you can get them high performing early on, is they leverage off of each other's core talents, and they kind of overspread some of their not so good areas with good peanut butter so it doesn't show up.
I like that. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Even for like, I remember back in corporate for me, I think the best like group, it was about maybe 6 of us. And it felt like it was really good. Like we worked really well at about max 6. Once it started like getting bigger and bigger, there was a lot of different issues that came into play, particularly with communication, because, you know, you're just dealing with a lot more people. But when it comes particularly to coaching, I always found, well, one of the things I've learned very early on is that everybody wants to be seen and heard. And so if you're trying to coach somebody and help them be seen and heard within that group coaching program, it's really important that the group is as small as possible.
Right.
So that you have that time to do that for them.
Sure. Well, the other piece of that, and actually Gracie says, introvert present here. So her and I are behaviorally very similar, but we have to be extrovertal in our communication tendencies, or we have to appear like we're able to present in public, or like in this, you know, on live shows or Zoom. So it can be super taxing. But the other thing I used to find, back to the cross-functional leading, is that, and I'm sure you've studied this, there are characters that emerge in cross-functional teams. And again, once you get above like 8 people in a cross-functional team, then you allow space and room for, you know, some of the not so nice characters, like the sniper, right? You know, and and the quiet, you know, the quiet objector, right? That doesn't say anything, but has a massive impact on the productivity of the team. So that was the other thing I used to find. If you can keep it 5 to 8, there aren't any places for those not so nice characters to hide, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when it does get to a point where it stretches, you know, past that, I guess it's obviously up to the leader to make sure that they're dealing with those things. So like you mentioned, the quiet person who has like the best idea but isn't coming out and saying anything, it's up to the leader to constantly be like picking that person and go, hey, you know, Bruce, you haven't said anything. So you're gonna, you know, let us know what your thoughts are before we move on. Or to look at the sniper and say, like, cut it out, enough is enough. Like this kind of attitude is not going to continue on this team. So it's really up to the leader at that point, when it stretches past that, like, sweet spot, to really step up and display some true leadership skills. I see here that somebody is saying, I should talk to you both about core strengths. This would be so good. Okay. For coaching. Absolutely.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I still leverage off of my top 5 talents, which is the Strengths Finder, or when I did it last, it was Strengths Finder 2, but it's still Clifton Strengths now. And so I thank you for that advice. I actually literally 2 weeks ago, after my guest, I had G on from the middle of Texas, and G actually is a big proponent of using Clifton Strengths. And I found out the hard way that, you know, for almost 10 years, I wasn't using really any of my top 5 talents. And so I purposely, after my interview with G, I not only got out my top 5 talents, but I went over them again. And I'm doing some personal realignment, making sure that I use my core talents or strengths pretty much every week, because if you don't use your top 5 talents every week, it's number one, you're not being very productive. Number 2, you get super frustrated. And number 3, you're kind of leaving your superpower on the bench, and that's unfair to other people as well. So
absolutely. And I'm the same way. I was just looking for it. I have it sitting here so I can look at it like constantly, because I was one of those too that wasn't really like, actually, I'm going to be honest. When I first took the test, I was actually really upset about my top strengths. I was like, really? How come everybody else has all the cool stuff and mine is so boring?
What is yours?
Okay, my first strength is empathy. Number 1 is empathy. Number 2 is harmony. 3 is developer, relator, and achiever.
Ah,
So
okay.
at first, it's all very like relationship based is obviously my stuff. Yeah, relationship and influencing. And so I guess I felt like, oh, like, how come I don't have any of the strategic stuff?
Well, that's why you team up with somebody like me, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
so here are mine. Mine's strategy is 1.
Oh, nice.
Number 5 is analytical, which drives. So I'm yin and yang in the same person. So I can do strategic and tactical thinking in parallel, which drives most people crazy. And then in between that, which is my creative piece, I have individualization, ideation, which is a smancy way of saying you're organizationally pretty creative. And then the other one is communication. So even though I'm behaviorally introverted, you know, if you picked on me and said, "Hey, Bruce," I probably would not say anything. So
I like how you said that. Not say anything.
right. So in your example where you were demonstrating a point, you said, "Hey, Bruce, you know, I would not be the shrinking flower in the corner of the room if you pick on me." So now, will I be quiet and respectful? Yes. But yeah. Anyway, so it's interesting. Yeah. So what's really interesting is your top 5, and not that we were even dreaming of talking about this, but it came up. Thank you, whoever brought it up. But
Yeah, we weren't.
right. But what's really interesting is if you team up and integrate with somebody with completely different top 5 talents, then what you end up with is you end up with 10 plus. Yeah. So that's what a lot of people don't understand. And that's why, even though it's really, really hard work leading and figuring out how to lead cross-functional teams, when you figure it out and you get the snazziness of getting them all juiced up and working together, you can solve problems like quicker than anybody else when you tap into all that. And that's really the key about collaboration. People think it's just so, you know, cool, right, to collaborate, but real collaboration is about making, you know, 5 strengths become 15, right? Absolutely. So that's because you want to multiply, right? You want to multiply all the good things in the team, and then you want to try and minimize the not so good things in a team. And when you're a brand new manager or a first frontline supervisor that was the technical expert, where you only have to manage yourself pretty much and who you were being a techie to, and now you've got to manage 5 to 10 people's expectations, it's just blisteringly overwhelming. I mean, it's just terrible. I mean, it is. It's just like I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, why is it?
It's definitely hard. Like, it's not easy, particularly if you're just thrown into it without. Yeah, someone just said, Charlie says that collaboration is key. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, see, his name shows up as well. So Charlie's figured out how to get his name to show up as well. Good job, Charlie. We have a process issue. We've got a lot of LinkedIn users on here, and I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Well, back to you. Yes, it is hard, but actually for me, it was terrible. And so my first ever supervisory role, I was doing a techie role, and literally the next day I became the supervisor on a second shift because I was limited in choices. When I asked the plant manager at the time, I said, "Well, what are my choices?" He said, "You're going to go on second shift as my supervisor in my metal preparation area." And I said, "What's my other choice?" And he said, "I'm going to lay you off tomorrow." So,
wow.
So just purchased my very first little home. So it was like, that's why it was kind of terrible. It was like, oh my Lord.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so that was my entry to my first line supervision job overnight, literally, with no guidance.
With no guidance, like so many of us have.
Right.
Like, very little guidance as we're jumping into it. You know, when I was in that situation, I wasn't in your exact situation where I was given like that type of choice and felt like, you know, I'm against the wall or anything, but I was thrown into it. And I remember at the time thinking to myself, like, am I the only one this has happened to? And now, like, looking back and looking forward at all the people I'm about to help, I'm like, no, this is actually very normal, where people are tapped into leadership and have literally no idea what they're doing. Like, and it's such a stressful place to be in, like, because you go in every day wondering, like, am I good enough? Am I meeting expectation? And the thing is that makes it that much harder is you were tapped into management because you are a high performer at some level.
Yep.
And so when you're in this role and you're not performing, then that really starts to eat at you, because you know you're not doing it properly, right? So it causes stress on so many different levels, which is why it's just like, it is extremely difficult during your case, like you said, horrific, but it's just, it's really hard to navigate.
But so if people are watching this either live and they know people that have been thrust willingly or unwillingly or just by accident into the front line, and they're in the first supervisory or managerial role, then Mac knows what it feels like. She knows all the tools on how to get you rapidly out of that state of mind, as it were, because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's more about the state of mind. And the other thing I found was the hardest thing was changing your posture. It was just literally, you know, for me, because I was used to doing my techie thing, and I had a lot of tools that I used. I had a lot of measuring devices, and I could do my thing in my own little work zone. Well,
not anymore.
I couldn't do that when I was supervising. You know, I had 18 people operating multiple machines on 2 floors in a building. So my posture had to change. I had to walk around a lot. I had to gain unwritten or nonverbal communication skills really, really quickly. I mean, I didn't have to worry about all of that when I was a techie. It was just like, you know, you don't need non-communication skills when you're talking to a micrometer. I mean, it's not, it's not like, right? Or a measuring device, or, you know, it's like, what the heck's going on? And then I didn't get it. It's like, well, I set out what I thought were the, you know, measurements of the expectations, but the problem was they were the wrong expectations, because I was dealing with people with their emotions, and I had 18 characters in my first supervised team that I supervised that were all different. They were all different ages, from all different backgrounds, all different skill levels. It was just horrendous. So anyway,
so you get it. But, you know, you said something at the very beginning of this live. You were talking about how sometimes when it comes to process, you have to actually slow down in order to go faster. And it's actually the same in management. I actually tell my students this, or my clients this, all the time, which is that you jump into the role and you want to rev up real quick.
Right.
But you actually have to slow down and fill in some stuff before you start revving up. But once you fill in that stuff, like, and you get the team dynamics down and you understand your team, and, you know, you put those building blocks in place, then, man, when you start revving, it just goes like this, right up, right? But you have to slow down first, especially when it comes to people.
Yeah, it's the old cartoon of the tortoise and the hare, right? The tortoise, you know, the tortoise shell covers a lot more square footage and a lot more area. And Zippy, the roadrunner, has just got 2 feet and he covers, like, you know, 20 inches of space, right? And as part of that nurturing and learning and finding out, you know, who are the characters underneath my tortoise shell that I need to, you know, gradually and methodically move along the pathway, you know, and the roadrunner can run around all over the place. They're going fast, but they may not be getting to the right destination any quicker than the tortoise is. So
I like that. Did you know that's actually, well, you wouldn't know this, but that is actually one of my lessons in my program. Be the tortoise, not the hare. That's literally a lesson.
Wow, cool. All right. So when you get this video, you can repurpose this segment and say, hey, look, look what this old guy said after his supervisory deal.
I'm not going to say it like that.
You can. I'm at the point in my life where I know that, you know, I'm sundowning in many parts of my life. So, you know, I'm good. I'm good.
Somebody says, oh, Gracie says that Roadrunner is going fast. You know, it's so true. And that is probably the worst thing that anybody could do in, you know, like Bruce said, with process or even with people. You just can't rush people. You have to really slow down and take your time to understand. Like, you're one of the biggest advantages that you can have as a team leader is knowing your team.
Yeah.
That is like the biggest advantage. So, but you got to slow down enough to do that. Charlie says, oh, I'll let you read it.
No, go ahead.
Charlie says, I understand that. I'm pushing for a 180 country launch. I find the most work goes into the background work. Slowly but surely is a very good posture. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Charlie knows.
So, Charlie, if you need any extra chutzpah or horsepower, then you should either reach out to Mac or I or both of us, because we plan to do some stuff together in the future. Not to be announced yet, but that's a tease.
But know that you heard it here first, okay?
You heard it here first, like live on the Mac and Bruce show. How about that? A little different than mac and cheese, but
exactly, just a little bit.
Exactly, yeah. a lot higher caliber in the energy level. Not mac and cheese, Mac and Bruce. So be careful.
Charlie says, "Will do."
Will do. All right, good man, Charlie. So, hey, my nickname used to be, had a brother-in-law that used to call me Charlie. So we have something in common, Charlie, even though my name is not that anymore. But anyway, all right. So wow, look at that, 31 minutes in. Where does the time go? It's like a super chat here at our Panera Bread online, right?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, fly. All right. So how would you like people to reach out to you, Mac? And obviously, if they have questions, either finish popping your questions in live, or if you're watching this as #replay, if you put #replay, then it's much easier for us to know if you asked a question live or not. And Mac and I will get back to you. But what's the best way for people to reach you, Mac?
Yeah, so right here on LinkedIn. I'm also on LinkedIn, just Makeda Andrews, really simple. I have a YouTube channel where I pump out, weekly content for first-time, of course, team leaders who are building. Oh, so nice to see you both together today. Thank you. It's great to be together.
I guess that's our sister, 𝗟𝘂, right?
It could be, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Could be. Who knows? We don't know. LinkedIn user, who the heck are you?
We love you, though.
We do love you. Thank you.
So yeah, I have a YouTube channel where I obviously, like I said, post all my main content for first-time team leaders, and that is also just Makeda Andrews. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, absolutely feel free to do that. You can DM me anytime.
Right. Well, both of us get super busy, so be a little patient. And if you're on Pacific Standard Time, then know that Makeda's on Eastern Standard Time, so she'll be heading to bed soon based on all of her stuff she's been up to in the last several days. So when is launch day? No, Cape Canaveral. When is launch day in the Makeda home?
It's next Wednesday.
Well, at least you didn't choose this Wednesday, which is St. Patrick's Day. That was a good move. Yeah,
it was supposed to be this Wednesday, and then I realized it was St. Patrick's Day. Not a good idea. So moved it. Somebody saying she's also on IG. Oh yeah, I forgot. I just that is so true, 𝗟𝘂. Thank you for reminding me. Right. I just opened up an Instagram account. So yes, I am now on Instagram. It's taking me a while to get used to, but I'm there. And again, the name is Makeda Andrews. But yeah, launch date for me is next Wednesday.
Yeah, so don't overstretch your bandwidth. People say to me, well, Bruce, why aren't you on all these other platforms? It's like, I don't even know how to use LinkedIn and YouTube well enough yet. So why would I stretch my it's back to that perfectionism in me. It's like, why would I stretch my bandwidth so thin that I'm not so good on any platform,
them.
right? So
yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Sometimes doing things very simple is just that much more effective.
It's all about, people don't realize if they really get into the mindset of simpler and faster and better, they will not overtax themselves as much. They definitely won't overstretch their resources, and they'll figure out how to eliminate massive amounts of process steps, time and money or resource. And the only way you can do that is you got to get good at your existing processes, and you have to become the product to your own process, because that's the other thing. If you're not willing to be the product to your own processes, then shame on you, basically, is kind of what I say.
Shame on you. Wow.
Pretty bold, right?
That's
but hey, it's true.
No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, everybody knows in general that multitasking actually makes you less efficient.
Oh, absolutely.
That's just the truth. And so if you try and do that with your business or any sort of process that you're working on, then you're going to be less effective. That's honestly the truth. So what I like to subscribe to is mastering one thing. And then once you've done that, you move to the next, you know? So like, been doing YouTube now for a year, feel like, you know, I can pump out 10 videos, no problem. And I'm done. So I feel like I've mastered that. So it's like, that's when you take the next step of moving on to something that you want, like you want more of a challenge. But I absolutely agree. Simple is better.
To finish that up, I had a classic. So, you know, I get bombarded by the sell me, you know, click, connect, sell characters instead of click, connect, collaborate. And I had one recently said, oh, I see you've only got 52 subscribers on your YouTube channel, which is true. I would like more. And he said, I can guarantee in a month I'll get you up to 1,000 subscribers. Cool, I said.
Wow.
So I said, why don't you send me the link to your YouTube channel? And he said, I don't have a YouTube channel.
No way.
So I said, really? So how do you know how to drive genuine followers on YouTube if you don't have a YouTube channel? Oh, I'm just really good at showing other people how to do it. Okay. I don't think so.
No.
So I said, hey, my advice to you is stop pitching to people and figure out how to be a product of your own process. And then you'll do way better if you are the product of the product. So
absolutely. What is it that Charlie says? I find multiple launching and working on multiple projects at once is a bit easier for me. Wow.
Oh, cool. All right.
I mean, more power to you, Charlie. I personally don't function like that. I'm a person of like complete focus. So I need to do one thing at a time, but everyone's different. Obviously, you got to leverage your strength.
Absolutely. Yeah. If that's your strength, that's awesome. So my little visual for you, Charlie, is if I tried to do that, I'm like the guy, have you seen the plate spinning, like the old vaudeville show where a guy puts all these plates on the end of these poles and he has to run around the stage, keeping them all spinning to keep all the plates in the air? That's me. And needless to say, I drop all the plates on the stage and they all smash. And so have to start over because you have to put all the plates back together when they've broken. So yeah, so that's my visual. When I'm tempted to be that multitasker too much, it's like, Bruce, how many plates can you really keep on the end of a 12-foot pole and keep them spinning and do it really well, right? So
yeah, so true.
All right, Mike. It was a joy and delight. If you just hang for a minute. Thanks, everybody. I'm sorry why we're not able to tell some names. That's a mystery to me, but I will try and find out. All right. Okay. Good afternoon, good night, or good morning if it's